Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name's Ayana. If you are new, we are back today with the weight loss video, and today's video is going to be all about intermittent fasting. So in this video, I'm going to have it broken down and timestamped below into 4 parts. The first part is going to be exactly what is intermittent fasting, why it's good for weight loss, also just in general health benefits of intermittent fasting, how I specifically use intermittent fasting to lose over 70 pounds naturally, and also third part is going to be how I think you should start intermittent fasting if you are new to it. If you jump directly into intermittent fasting, you are going to be battling cravings, you are going to be battling hunger. If you are battling anything, you are in a fight that you have already lost. You're going to give in, you're going to eat, you're going to fall off. Any kind of weight loss plan or healthy lifestyle change, it shouldn't be fighting the whole time, you know? It shouldn't be a struggle. The last part is going to be for people who are considering or actively using GLP-1 medications like Ozempic and Mounjaro. I am a nurse practitioner for those of you who are new, and this is just how I prescribe it and how I tell my patients to approach using it if you're going to start. So that being said, let's get right into this video. So the first thing, what is intermittent fasting? It's exactly what the name sounds like. It's when you fast intermittently. So essentially you have a portion of time where you are not consuming any food or calories, and then you have a portion of time where you are eating. By using intermittent fasting, you're able to tap into some of the benefits of fasting. Some of the benefits of intermittent fasting are not only weight loss, but they also help metabolically, right? So if you are insulin resistant, it's gonna help with that. How you know you're insulin resistant is you are chronically fatigued. You are eating, you still have no energy, you can sleep for 3 days, you wake up, you're still exhausted. So that's one of the symptoms of insulin resistance. If you do check your blood sugars, they're typically high. So that's a sign of moving into type 2 diabetes. It's really something to address and kind of turn around. As we know, intermittent fasting is also amazing for weight loss. When you are consuming food and you're eating calories, your body is running on the glucose. It breaks down the carbohydrates to glucose and it's using that for fuel. When those levels, your blood glucose levels gets low enough, your body sort of flips the metabolic switch and then it enters into fat metabolism. A byproduct of fat metabolism is ketones, and you guys have probably all heard of the term ketosis. You're in ketosis, which is basically you're burning fat for fuel. Your brain runs much more effectively on ketones. And so if you can tap into fat metabolism for some time, it's gonna be beneficial for your focus, your concentration, energy. In general, intermittent fasting is very, very beneficial for health. So how I use intermittent fasting, I now currently do OMAD, which is 1 meal a day. In the fall and winter, I typically do like a 4-hour eating window. It's very easy to go from 4-hour eating window to a 1-hour eating window. I will tell you, with intermittent fasting, you have much more energy. When you are not insulin resistant, you have much more energy. Also not hungry. I'm not battling cravings. I'm not starving during the day. Our body knows when we're eating. When it's time to eat, we get hungry. So when you're doing intermittent fasting, it sort of trains you to feel hungry less. You know what I mean? I literally get hungry at the same time every day around 1 o'clock. I initially started intermittent fasting before really making any significant dietary changes. Once I felt very comfortable with the eating window that I had, I then started incorporating dietary changes. Main thing that I keep my eye on is the calories that I'm consuming and the carbs that I'm consuming. And I have a whole video on how to start a weight loss journey if you have no idea where to start, and I will link that above now. And that kind of gets into where to start. Calculating your BMR, knowing how much calories you should be consuming every day. So I go into a lot of details on just how to eat, how much you should be eating when you're starting a weight loss journey. I do not recommend intuitive eating, but that's in that video, and this one is just all about intermittent fasting. I exercise in a fasted state. I highly recommend it. Again, if you for a short time are able to flip that metabolic switch and kind of tap into fat burning, I really want to get the most out of my workout by just exercising right before I break my fast. How I recommend intermittent fasting for you if you are new to intermittent fasting depends on how you are eating currently. So if you're someone like me, I used to eat around the clock, wake up at night, I couldn't sleep, watching TV, up at night snacking. My recommendation for people who eat that way is to start with the 12-hour eating window, 12-hour fasting. Just to get your body on the right schedule of when to eat. When we're sleeping, we're sleeping. When we're eating. I would start with a 12-hour eating window, quickly shorten that, because you're not getting the benefits of fasting, eating from 9 to 9. You're just not. You really want to eventually work to at least a 16-hour fasting time. So you do not have to be strict in that time window. If you're going to a wedding, or you're going to a brunch, or you're going to a late dinner, you can move that window as you need. Just come back to it. It's nothing to be stressed out about. You can choose to change it. You can make your window bigger if you need to. Adjust it as your body sees fit. I highly recommend intermittent fasting for all its health benefits. So that's how I think you should start. When you break your fast, it's very important, and this is to break your fast with a high protein, high fiber, lower carb meal if you can. If you're doing intermittent fasting, the way you need to eat is high protein, high fiber, because they keep you fuller longer. I told you at the end of this video, I'm going to talk about the GLP-1 medications. That's essentially how they work, right? They slow down gastric emptying time, and so you feel fuller longer. The protein does the same thing. It stretches the stomach. Stretch receptors kind of signal to the brain that you're full. Fiber in your diet is going to slow down gastric emptying time. So all these things kind of essentially work like those medications. You stay fuller longer, you're more satisfied. So you're not eating all the time. The point with intermittent fasting is you should not be battling hunger. You should not be battling cravings. If you have a craving for a sweet, have a small portion of that sweet after you have your high protein, high fiber meal. You will eat less, you'll be more satiated, you'll be full, and you'll have less of that bad food that you want to cut out. Eventually, the cravings are going to be less and less, and you're not depriving yourself. So that's the way to go. Now, as far as the GLP-1 medications, I absolutely recommend them. I prescribe them for some of my diabetic patients who are also overweight. They work wonders for people. I always recommend to my patients, while you're using these medications, you want to also be establishing a healthy lifestyle. Don't let the medication do all the work. You should be changing the way you're eating. High protein, high fiber, low carbs. You should be changing the way that you are exercising. You want to start with low intensity workout initially and progress as your fitness level progresses, right? You don't want to stress the body out. You also want to be developing stress coping mechanisms, right? A lot of us, when we get stressed, we just eat, and then we want the comfort sweet foods, right? To get that pleasure from eating, having that sugar food. And so we need to develop other healthy stress response. That I take ashwagandha and glucomannan. Glucomannan helps me, it's dietary fiber, it helps me feel fuller longer. Ashwagandha sort of helps me deal with stress. Honestly, having these supplements in my routine have also helped me with my stress management. When I'm not feeling anxious and stressed, I don't necessarily want to grab sweets. And when I'm full, I don't want to eat. So they really have benefited me. I highly recommend. If you're going to use these medications, you are using them while you're developing these healthy lifestyle changes so that you don't have to use them and be dependent on these medications for life. There are really no long-term studies, 20 years out, that show what these medications do over time. You know what I mean? And the studies have shown that within 2 years, people stop the medication, they've regained all of their weight and more. The reason why it's only effective while you're on it is because people let the medication do the work. You have to do the work and the medication assists. And that's how I tell my patients, and they do well with it. That's it. Those are my tips. That's the information here on intermittent fasting. I highly recommend that if you are doing intermittent fasting and you are hungry, your fasting window is too long, your eating window is too short, you have to widen it. You shouldn't start that much different from where you are now. So if you're eating maybe 8 hours for the day, shave off 2 hours of that and start there. Small changes is how you are successful with intermittent fasting and weight loss in general. That's it. That's my video on intermittent fasting. Comment any questions below. All right. See you next time in the next one. Take care.